Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's another out-of-theater reaction for me today. It's back-to-back weeks where Regal is doing its Monday mystery movie night, and tonight it was for a movie I had heard very little about, maybe seen like one or two trailers from, and it's the movie called Theater Camp. It's coming out July 14th. It's directed by Molly Gordon and Nick Lieberman, I believe is his name. Also, multiple writers involved with this movie as well. I think 4 and 3 of them were involved in this movie, including Molly Gordon, so she has a lot to do with this movie. Her and Ben Platt, who also is writing credits on this, starring in this movie. They're the two, I guess, main characters to get the most screen time in this. And if you don't know, you probably don't. This movie is just about a theater camp in upstate New York. It's a little bit run down. It's next door to this really fancy theater camp that's kind of trying to buy it, I guess, if you will, throughout this movie. And basically just goes through a couple weeks of summer theater camp. And it's just a nice little comedy movie. You have Jimmy Tatro in here, I believe is how you say his name. He was just in The Machine playing younger Bert Kreischer. I thought he was really good in that. I think he's actually even better in this for me. I really did like his character. He plays the son of the woman who's running this camp. She can't run the camp this year that the movie is taking place in, and so he has to try and run this camp, and he's this kind of really bro-y guy who's in his, like mid-20s or whatever, and just obviously is in way over his head, but then, his character obviously has some evolution there with that. And I just thought this was a really nice little comedy movie that I didn't know much about going into it. I think that's really probably the best case scenario probably is going to be what is probably going to be for most people. I thought it was really funny throughout. The filming style, at first it took me like a couple scenes to get used to, is very much like The Office or Parks and Rec, or maybe even like What We Do in the Shadows. If you've seen any of those shows, that's kind of what it looks like. They really film it in that way. The camera angles they go at, it's pretty much everything you see in that in terms of how they film those shows, except the cutaways to when they're talking alone, like they're being interviewed or whatever. It's pretty much just like that, and I really like those shows, so I was really at home with that. And of course, this being called Theater Camp, this whole thing being about really the main plot here is they're gonna have a big play they do at the end of this movie with all the kids that are involved in this theater camp, and that definitely hit home with me because I was in theater in middle school and high school, and I really did enjoy that very much. So there was a lot of fun to be had with that, and a lot of hilarious over-the-top comedy with playing with the just different tropes with the just being in theater as a kid, and how some people view different kids that are in theater, and some of the funny obvious things they do with that in this movie I thought was really nice to see. And yeah, overall I just had a really pleasant time with this. It's not gonna be one of those movies that I'm like, oh, it was one of the best movies for me of this year or anything like that, but I thought for a nice little different comedy, again, in the way it was filmed, and the jokes that were there, and the story actually has a surprise for me near the end of this movie that I kind of wasn't expecting, and it does that in several ways in this movie, kind of subverting my expectations. It's a PG-13 movie, so it kind of rides the line of being kind of dirty at times, but also still having kind of that fun, I guess, sort of more like family-friendly humor at times, because you're dealing with the kids in the theater camp and everything. And yeah, it's just a nice little movie. It's about, I think, a little over an hour and a half or something like that, and the cast is all really good. Again, I mentioned at the beginning the few people that are involved in the writing as well, and I thought it was a nice, well-done film. I think Will Ferrell even has like a producing credit on this, so you definitely can see that at times in this movie, some of the ridiculous just humor. And yeah, the humor for the most part really did work for me throughout this. It was really consistently good for me, and yeah, it's definitely one I'm going to remember very fondly. A nice, pleasant movie, and a really good movie also for the summertime. Again, it comes out July 14th, so definitely an overall positive recommendation for me with this film. I had a really good time with it. Definitely be looking for it when it comes out. It's a nice one. Theater Camp.